Okay, so hopefully, I know that a few people are still having internet issues. Um, but once you get to a point where everything is installed, then we can go ahead and launch it. I will say that if you don't want to use Eclipse, VS Code is also an option. I did VS Code for this class for one semester, and I didn't like it, and so I've switched back to Eclipse. The reason Eclipse is clunky, you probably will notice this the first time that you boot it up. Um, VS Code is easier for typing code and making these things happen, but it's weird. Eclipse enforces Java standards really well. So that includes like naming things and structuring projects, whereas VS Code is kind of anything goes. And I don't like that part. Uh, so VS Code sometimes just works, but if it doesn't, then that's a problem. And so because there's benefits and disadvantages to both, it's kind of pick your poison. So this class, the stuff I'll show you is in Eclipse. I've had students where if Eclipse just doesn't install or work on their computer, then VS Code is fine. We've got 20 minutes, so let's keep on going. So you have choice, but I recommend Eclipse. So let's launch Eclipse. So chances are when you launch Eclipse, you are asked this question of what directory do I use as a workspace? What this means is this is where all of your Java files are stored. So for me, it lives in users and then my username and then Eclipse dash workspace. It may look a little bit different for you on Windows. You've got a few options. One, you can leave it as default. That's what I've chosen to do. Option two is to store everything in your 222 folder. You could choose to do that. What matters here is that you need to choose what makes sense for you to find all of your things. So for me, I am happy knowing that my 222 folder is for like my documents and PowerPoints and stuff like that, where all of my code lives in my Eclipse workspace. But if you want to have all of your files there, then you can browse and choose a different folder. Okay, those are packet problems, but we'll keep going for now. So for me, I'll choose to keep it there, and I'm just going to click launch. So you'll probably end up on a page like this. I wish I could zoom in for you. Eclipse does not make it easy. So let's talk about what each of these components are. So the first step, the stuff on the left-hand side, there's a little tab that says Package Explorer. That means that all your projects, all your files, they live here. This is like its own mini file system. On the bottom tab, I think, so for me, it shows up right here. I think it may not show up for a lot of you. Is that the case? Great. Okay, so there's the menu bar up at the top, file, edit, source, refactor. And so if you click on the window option and then show view, console is an option. And so if you click on that, then it should show up down here. Does that option not appear for anyone? Great. Okay. And so the console, that's where all the program output is going to be. So anything that you choose to print, it's going to show up there. You can also move these tabs around. Like I've sometimes, so like if I close console, I can always get it back with Windows Show View Console. Sometimes I can move it like to the right if I want to. I kind of like it just living there. So you can move things around if you need to. In the middle space, that's where the editor is. So that's where you're going to type stuff. And then the right-hand panel is other stuff that aren't required. There's stuff like a task list or an outline that can show up there. You can close it if you want to. So see, I don't currently have it open. I can minimize it or click on any one of these things to open them. So you can minimize that if you need to. So to review, we've got the Package Explorer. That's where all your files live. The console, that's where the program output goes. Your editor, that's where you type stuff. Then other stuff on the right. You will see this matters for the lab. Eclipse has perspectives. So there's Java perspective where I'm going to write my everyday code stuff. There's the Git perspective, which is where we'll download the labs. There's the debug perspective to help try and figure out what went wrong. And the way that you select these are in the top corner. They're very small. I wish I could zoom. So I've got 3 icons over here on, did I say left? It's on the right-hand side. So right now I've got the Java perspective selected. I could go to the Git perspective and it changes a little bit. I can go to the debug perspective and it also changes a little bit. And I can click on the Java perspective again to get me back here. One thing to be very careful of is whether you are in the Java perspective or the Git perspective. Because they look super similar. So now I'm in the Git perspective. The difference here is that Git repositories is the name of this tab and not Package Explorer, which is what I need it to be. So let's make sure that we're in the Java perspective going forward. Okay, we're going to write our first program. This might take just enough time for us. Every Java, so for Python, this doesn't really matter as much. Python is a scripting language where you can just have a Python file and run it. Java files need to live in a project. And so a project is basically a folder where all of the code for this specific task lives. And that folder, that project, lives in your Eclipse workspace. So everything for a project is going to go in that project folder. So we're going to create a project called CS222 in class. Sometimes that dash doesn't work. So the name is flexible, just to be clear that this is the project where all the code that we type in class is going to go. So wait, I have slides for this. So to create a project, we need to be in the Java perspective. And so there's different ways to get there. You can go to File, New, and then Java Project. So File, New, and then Java Project. That's one way to get there. You could click on this button in the top left is the New button. So you could click on that and this whole thing pops up. And then we would go down to the Java folder and select Java Project, or Command N or Control N, and then either way, we get to a point where we're creating a new Java project. So now we get a visit from the Java project wizard. So Java project, the 2 things you need to worry about, we need to name it. So something like CS222 in class. Name doesn't really matter, just so that it's clear to you. it doesn't like the dash, you could maybe give it an underscore or just no dash. So I've named it CS222 in class. All this middle stuff you can ignore and then click finish. So I've named it. I'm ignoring the middle stuff and I'm clicking finish. Anybody need help with that part? Great. If you are running a little bit behind, you can feel free to watch the YouTube video after or come up to me and I can walk you through it. So now the project that you made, so when I did the slides, it lived there. When I did it now, it lives here. So I've got a bunch of projects. You probably have only one. And so that's where it is. So now we want to create an actual file. So we've created a project where this is where all our in-class code is going to go. Then we want to make a file. The Java files are called classes. That's a Java specific thing. A class is also its own thing. We'll talk about what that means in a few days. But in order to write our Java program, we need to make a new class. So again, you go to File, New, any of the ways that we get there. I'll click the button and go to Class. So under the Java folder, we want a class. I'll double click that. And then it brings us to another wizard. So class, that's what we want. Yes. So the source folder, we don't touch. The package, that's where it lives. Currently we don't have any package, so I'm gonna name it, maybe this time I'll name it U1 Basics. That's basically the subfolder where this file is gonna be. So I've given it a place where it lives. I've put it somewhere. I'm gonna name it. I'm gonna name it Hello World. You'll note that if I type Hello World, and I don't start it with a capital letter, then it says type name is discouraged by convention. Java names usually start with an uppercase letter. This is something that VS Code doesn't warn you about, so that's kind of why I like Eclipse. So I'm going to name it with a capital H, Hello World. And then that stuff you can ignore for now. By the end of the semester, you'll know what all of these mean. And then there's a box to check for public static void main. So over here, I want to check the box that says public static void main string args. So check the box for main and then click finish. Okay. Did everybody get there for the most part? Great. Finish. That's our file. So it's in the CS222 in class project. In the source folder, SRC stands for source. We've removed all of the vowels. It lives in the U1 basics package, so this subfolder. And I've got my hello world file. And notice that I made a new class, but it made me a .java file. So the class, that's how we do things in Java. I'll notice that there are different, let's see, this is the source folder from the spring. And so I've split it up into here, like we have our basics and all of these other packages that I've organized so that it's not just a bunch of Java files all in one place. That's what packages are for. Okay, so if I double click this file, then here it is. So, do I have interesting things to say about here? That's our file. So we're going to say hello. And the way that we do that, so in Python, you probably said print hello world. You can tell by the red squiggly lines, that's not going to fly here. In Java, we need to say system with a capital S dot, let me see, can I make this bigger? Yes, I can. System dot out dot print L as in Lima, and then N. And then we've got our parentheses and our quotes. Hello world. And then we end with semicolon. So if we type all that out, hooray. So now we have to save the file. So you could do file save. That sounds really annoying. So you can do, if you're on Mac, it's Command S. If you're on Windows, it's Control S. So Command S, and then the little asterisk thing goes away. So if I make a change, it's not saved, there's an asterisk. If I save it, no asterisk. Hooray. So we save the file and then click this green play button. So save it, click the green play button. It says big, it's not big. I wish it were bigger. So if we click that green play button, voila. In the console, it says hello world. I can say whatever I want in here, save the file, run it, shows up. If I add more spaces and I choose not to save it, it's going to ask me, hey, you're trying to run something. Do you want to save it first? And you can say, yeah, I assume that I always want to save it. Or you can be like, no, I want to check first. And then click OK. And then it will print. Now if I run it, there we go. Okay. So our message shows up in the console. So that's why we have to see it. If I had chosen to close the console, so let's see, that's closed. And I run it, console shows back up again. So generally, if you close it and then you run it and there's output, then it'll be like, you ran a program with output. Here you go. You'll hear me calling console terminal. It means the same thing. Do you have a question?
It didn't very well. Saying it can't find the CS222 in class folder.
Is anyone else having the same issue? Okay, let's talk after class.
Why says selection cannot be launched with memories and matches?
Okay. All right. This might be, let's see, we have 3 minutes. So this might be about where we stop for today. So for today, if you're able to print something and not have catastrophic errors, if you have everything installed, great. For tomorrow, make sure that let's go to the page. Make sure that you fill out the Hello World assignment. That's mostly for me to see who are you, what classes have you taken, get to know you, and get started. Make sure you're able to log onto the textbook. So if you can do those and you can run the stuff that we did today, we're in good shape for next time. All right, that's it. Thank you. I will see you on Thursday.